Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joint Finance Committee Select Board meeting for our budget on January 21st. We have a pretty packed agenda tonight. We're going to hear from our departments. This is the first of 4 budget meetings we'll have with our department heads. I just want to remind the committee, we're going to hear things tonight. We're going to hear about things that were cut from their budget through the finance department internally. If you hear anything, please jot it down. Things that you want to add or things you want to discuss a little bit more on that Saturday. Don't forget to ask questions of these department heads. This is one of our last shots to talk to people in this setting, so please take advantage of it. We have 6:30, we have the library. 6:50, we have the town clerk. 7:05, human resources. 7:20, LCTV. 7:35, the town assessor. 7:50, the accountant. 8:05, the treasurer collector. 8:20, a bunch of little department budgets. 8:30, property liability insurance, employee benefits. 8:45, we'll let the select board adjourn. The finance committee has a few things that we need to do after that 8:45 thing. We're going to do minutes. We're going to elect a clerk of our board since our clerk just resigned. And then we'll adjourn sometime around 9:50 or 9:30. With that, Sam, you're up. Library is on page 215.
220 is where the money is. Where the money is.
Hi, Sam Alvarez, Library Director. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our major accomplishments over the past year. So actually, over the past few years, since the new library opened, we've seen a significant increase in circulation, 67.5%, with 117,000 in 2021 to 196,000 in the last year. Program attendance has also increased by about 169%, with 2,405 in 2021, all the way up to 6,462 in the last year. Some services that we've added are some new book clubs, a laid-back book club, which is a club where you can just come into the library and just read a book. There's no specific books chosen. It's just you can hang out, talk about the books you're reading. Also added some new children's book clubs, 4th grade book club, 5th grade book club. We've increased things to the library of things. We've started a Pokemon club, added an extra Dungeons and Dragons club for the teens that's very popular. How to be in adult classes for teens, teaching them how to use some adult things, like looking at a checkbook and even how to wrap a present. Last Christmas we had a class on how to wrap presents. Book and a Bite has increased. It's a home service for seniors where some of our staff or volunteers bring books to patrons that can't get out of the house or comes to the library. So it's a service that we offer along with Elder and Human Services, where we bring them a little treat and we create a list of the books they might want, and then we bring one to them. We bring books to them every week or every 2 weeks. 3D maker services. Our staff we have a 3D maker in the library, so we started making things for our patrons, and even Eric, our facilities manager, has asked for things. And then notary services. I'm a notary. A few of my staff are notaries, and that's a very popular service at the library that we offer for free. A lot of patrons come in for that service. So. Some goals that we have coming up are enhanced digital services for patrons. We'd like to increase the number of ebooks and databases we offer our patrons. We want to continue to strengthen our community partnerships, put more of a focus on diversity and inclusion. We did a survey a few months ago asking patrons what sort of materials they wanted to borrow from the library, and a lot of patrons recommended LGBTQ more books on that subject matter. Just that general area of services. And then we also want to enhance services for adults, especially young adults, like 20 to 30-year-olds. We tend to get a lot of kids and teens, and then they kind of disappear once they go to college, and then they come back when they have their own kids. So we want to focus more on the 20 and 30-year-olds coming to the library. So this is the original budget that I had submitted, but as Steve noted, we had been asked to make cuts. So originally there were $788,161 in wages, and expenses were $212,424, for a total of $1,585,000. So the biggest increase is from MBLC, our consortium. So our consortium hasn't made any increases for the past few years, so they've been changing that recently. So there was a slight increase of about $4,000 or $5,000. So this is the revised operating budget. So the cuts I made were to cut overtime expenses from the budget of about $7,331. We eliminated about $19,150 from the FY27 budget by cutting from the books and materials, our travel budget, and our postage budget. MBLC assessment and e-content remained the same. So the total wages came out to $780,830 with the step increases and COLA, and the expenses went down to $193,274 for a total of $974,104. So that's about negative 7.9% over the current year's FY26 budget. In the future, we're anticipating we'll need an adult services librarian. At the moment, we don't have any, like I mentioned before, we don't really have anyone to really help adults, create programs for them. So, except for myself and Metro, but we're busy with our other duties. So, an adult services librarian would really help with handling collection development, creating programs for adults, handling reference questions. Right now, a lot of patrons come to the CERC desk, and my staff is great at answering reference questions, but because our people through the door has increased so much, that means we have lines at the CERC desk. And so an adult services library would really be helpful to answer any patron reference questions. They could also become a notary and help them that way. And then in FY29, requesting a public services librarian. The public services librarian would work in tandem with the adult services librarian. It would sort of be like their second person. And they would just be an extra person to help with the same thing with adult programming, collection development, that sort of thing. No capital requests at the moment. So far, everything's working. So, yeah, I know, I just changed it. But possibly by FY33, we might need to replace more damaged furniture. So, estimating around $18,000 for that. But no other anticipated requests at this time. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Sam. I noticed in the book you have 2 vacant positions.
So what happened was when I submitted I was in the process of hiring 2 library assistants. So we didn't know who they were. So those positions have been filled. Yeah.
Okay.
You can update those when we do the final. We'll update it when we do the final.
Is removing all the overtime a realistic change, or are you going to incur overtime anyway?
So we've always given back that money. For the past 11 years, I think there's only been 1 year where we actually used it. So
the big decrease in the books and materials, 15,000?
Yeah, so we're going to be able to cover that with the e-content from MVLC that I'm requesting, so that counts towards our MAR. So there's a certification requirement for libraries, and so there's a certain amount that we have to spend every year on books, and there's a certain amount that the town has to give us. And with this budget, I still meet that. So this won't be, these kind of cuts won't be sustainable moving for, you know, I can't do this every year, but this year I was able to make it work.
Okay. Would you be hitting the trust funds for any money this year?
So the trusts have been giving us money. They're going to cover the funds for the postage that I cut, the travel that I cut, some of the office supplies that I cut. That's all coming from either state aid or trusts, trust monies. That's
From the Friends?
And the Friends, yeah. The Friends also, so they already pay for our museum passes. That also counts towards the certification requirement. So that was also included in my estimate for how I'm going to get certified next year.
Okay.
So I think when we met with you, you said the trusts were covering like $40,000 and the Friends were another 25-ish, 27,000, something like that.
Looks like the,
Go ahead.
looks like the circulation is growing up. It's going up. I think it's like you said, mentioned about 67% since 2021. So do you know the division between the books versus the e-content?
So e-content, it's much more because of so e-content is not counted towards a per specific library because it's the consortium that provides the e-content. So I can tell you that it's high, but it's not as, but I can't tell you specifically how much it is for Littleton because it's they count all the 36 libraries in the consortium.
I was wondering whether we need to increase the e-content going forward, depending on whether which one
So,
is more popular.
MVLC's assessment, that's the e-content that is part of the budget is also part of that. So they probably will be asking for increases over the next few years. So there are about 5 consortiums in Massachusetts, and MVLC right now is contributing a very small amount compared to all the other consortiums. So we're one of the smaller consortiums anyway, so it kind of evens out, but even by those comparisons, we're still contributing a small amount. So we're probably going to see increases in that in future years.
What year do you have to do your new long-range plan, and when does that affect your budget?
So the trustees just hired a consultant. We're going to start next month. And then we still have another year before the current strategic plan is over. So I'm not sure how that's going to affect the budget because we haven't done everything that has to go with that yet.
So that would be until 28 or 29?
Yeah.
So besides the furniture, Sam, the new buildings treating you well?
Yeah, sure.
Systems
work?
good?
Yeah, the major systems are good. There are minor things, but so far the trustees have actually been paying for a lot of things that have broken. Like we had our front door broke, so the trustees paid for that. The big metal gate broke, the trustees paid for that.
Madam Chair, can we get trustees for the 37 charities?
That's an excellent idea. I nominate you. Check.
Second.
Check.
So can we get programs like for adults on like how to be a teen again?
Sure. I would attend that.
And I think an adult Lego program would also be very popular, judging by my house.
I might. Anything else for Sam?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks for your cooperation, Sam.
Thanks, Katrina.
Thank you.
Thanks. Madam Clerk.
Good evening. So, major accomplishments for town clerk's office, census 100% sent out, 95% returned.
That's based on 3 sets of mailings, the original one coming from LHS and then 2 sets coming from our actual office. Elections, 100% absentee mail-in requests sent out, included 2 elections, 2 local, including a special election on November 1st. Public records requests 100% completed and on time, whether for the town clerk's office or other offices in the town. An introduction of the new voting machines went smooth and timely, integrity of the elections as always. So that was the new machines that came out for the November election. Department goals for fiscal year 2027, continue training for the department. So as you may all know, my intention is for 2028 to look to retire, and so we're looking to continue training in the office, and so that's one of the biggest things that we need to continue to do. Continue to stay effective and efficient in all aspects for the residents and voters. Finish binding for all vitals. Vitals right now we're at 80%. Upgrade E-code and select board regulations on the website to ensure transparency. Continue with electronic permitting platform for dog licensing. This year we're processing time for residents and staff. And this is the first year that we've done the rollover for the relicensing of dogs. So last year was the first year we did online. This year is the first time we've done the relicensing. So far, it's worked out well, and the residents seem to be happy with it. So, wages, salary, elected official, 113, 964. Assistant town clerk wages, 77,252 for a total of 191,216. Professional services, 13,500. Office expenses, 800. Postage, 2,000. Dues and subscriptions, 500. So dues and subscriptions we've reduced by 500. Professional services is a huge bump this year based on information that I've received for what we are looking at for our town meeting, what we're looking at as far as zoning is concerned, and we are looking at what we have to pay for E-code. So we know what we have to do, what's coming up, and what we have to prepare for. Department codes, department goals for 2027, continue training. This is going backwards. Oh no, this is elections. Sorry. It is going backwards. Oh, going the wrong way.
You're all done.
I'm all done. Sorry. I'm really well done.
Go the other way. I think it's because it's an apple.
Is that where I'm at?
Yep.
No, you're on the next one.
You finished that.
It's not. There we go. Nope, did that one already.
Yeah, you did that. Go to the next one.
It's going backwards here. Wages for elections, $4,000 for the assistant town clerk, so he gets overtime for Saturdays and when we have the elections that go at night, so he gets, we have to put that in there. Adjust to increase in elections and in-person voting. So the expenses that we're looking at is for police. We have 2 extra elections this year for September and November. So we have 7 days for the primary, which is in September, which is 1 Saturday, which is all overtime for a police officer. And then in November, it's 2 Saturdays, which is all overtime for a police officer. So we have to, and that's 14 days of in-person early voting. So we have to increase that line item. So that's why that's up so much. Let's hope this goes the right direction. Nope. And elections, the town has afforded the elections divisions all its needs over the last several years, and at the time of 5-year projection for the department does not see anything new needed. And at this time of this hearing, the department is working with the school department and Neshoba Valley Tech to build an election shed to house election gear to give back the storage area in school. So I have another meeting tomorrow night with the school department to get the final approval of them. As well, I will be going to see the light and water department, because I'm not sure if you recall, a couple of years ago I came to the select board and asked for permission to go to the light department for a grant, permission to get a grant, which you gave me permissions to do. I'm finally able to go to them because this has to do with the elections to get that grant. So hopefully they'll be paying for this shed for us.
Twist some arms.
So, the clerk's office has purchased an additional 400 clickers for a town meeting out of reimbursement monies that the state has paid for elections. And if needed, when more monies comes in for extra elections this year, we could possibly purchase an additional 300. So as you're well aware, we needed those clickers. We had to borrow them from 2 towns for the November election. And instead of having to borrow and for any future town meetings, now we have 400 additional. And if need be, we would, if we have to, we could possibly purchase them. So it costs the townspeople no extra money for those clickers that we just purchased. It was monies that were in funding that we already had, that the state had reimbursed us for previous elections. And we have nothing for the 5-year capital request. I'm really done. Any questions?
Do you want to just talk a little bit of your department has changed a lot, the elections have changed a lot over the past few years? Clickers, poll pads,
Yeah, so
new
we,
machines?
Yeah, so we have the new voting machines, which are fabulous, in my opinion. If anybody came to the election in November, saw how easy it was to actually vote. And the tally at the end of the night was super easy. And we had somebody who was there from LHS. If they felt that there was going to be any issues, they were there to walk us through it, help us through it, and there was no issues. Hopefully the same thing will happen in May, and they are going to be there again in May. So those voting machines they are the 3rd generation. So they had two sets of glitches in previous generations. This generation has had no glitches so far, so I'm really pleased with them. I think that people will be happy again in May when we use them again. Our poll pads are wonderful. People are happy. It takes us anywhere from 4 to 7 seconds to check people in, whether it's at the town meetings or the elections, and it's a much quicker process. You don't have to stand in line and stand at the A to check in if your last name is A, or under the S's if your last name starts with S. You can just check at any of the tables wherever the poll pads are. As well, we do have a little bit of an increase with police officers for our town meeting because we are looking to be using the cafeteria because of the babysitting, and so we have to have a police officer there as well, so that's another thing. But the poll pads have worked fabulously, and we've had nothing but positive feedback about it.
When we met, I think it was Fred that asked about the future with the population, when you think we're going to have to add a new precinct?
So we talked about that a little bit today, and maybe 5 to 7 years down the road, we possibly might have to have another precinct. But if that's the case, we might be looking at maybe moving up to the high school, which we would still be able to be in one location.
There are 2 entries in the budget book for professional services.
Yes.
What are those?
So one is town meetings, the clerk's office, and the other is elections.
Okay.
And so one is like E-code, and the other is for all of our maintenance for all of our poll pads and our new voting machines. So one will come down. So in the first professional services, that will come down. The other will not come down
Got it.
because it's for all of our maintenance for our new machines.
And you said that the professional services for the E-code were going up because of E-code and one other thing. What was the other thing?
Yes, and so that's for our changes that we're gonna be doing for our regulations and
Oh,
all of
okay.
that. And so also for zoning and things like that. Because zoning is gonna be, from what my understanding is that there's gonna be a big zoning request in our May town meeting, I'm sorry. And so that doesn't hit us until the following fiscal year. So May town meeting doesn't hit us till the next fiscal year, so that's why it's in that fiscal year.
What's binding of vitals?
All of our birth certificates, our death certificates, our marriage licenses, our town meetings, our town reports, those all get filed.
Got it, okay. And then you mentioned that you do FOIA requests for not just the clerk's office, is that correct?
Yep, so the FOIA requests come in, everything comes through our office, and then we kind of disperse them off to all the different departments that
Okay.
they need to go off to.
But there aren't requests that you need to fulfill that aren't requests of the clerk?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we make sure that they're getting done in a timely fashion.
Here, okay. You're the traffic cop.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, thank you.
So next year we have town elections in May, state primary.
State primary September.
September,
Yep.
and then-
November, state election, and then May.
May.
So 3 elections. But 2 of them are in person, that we have to have. So one is for 7 days and one is for 14 days.
So going forward, is 2 bodies enough in your office, or will you be,
At this point in
Meaning
time,
more
based,
staff?
yeah, I mean, the issue is, you know, obviously spacing, but, I think we can, two people can handle it right now. It's always the, mail-outs that we have to do that takes the time, and that's why, volunteers are such a necessity in this town. So we're always lucky because we do have so many volunteers.
So that's staffing. You mentioned space just there.
Yep.
What's the space like?
So, so space is, our vault is getting a little cramped, so that's part of an issue that somewhere down the road, we're probably gonna have to look at another vault, or create downstairs in the vault area that we have right now. The vault that we have is kind of a holding vault in that we, whenever we have an election, if it's a state election, everything has to be held for 22 months. And so it creates a spacing issue, because you always have 2 elections. And depending on how big the election is, you have anywhere from 6 to maybe 10 boxes that are taking up space in that vault, and they have to be held for 22 months. And so that takes up precious space that we would be putting important information from our elections, from our town meetings, and all of that down there. So we end up having to keep it upstairs in the vault that is in our office. So it's tight for 22 months, and then we can kind of clear it for a little while, and then
It just comes right
it
back.
just comes right back, exactly. So the vault is an issue, and we may need to look at making a new one.
The one downstairs is climate controlled.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, yeah, because we do have to put, so we take all of our census from the previous year and bring it down there. So it's getting tight downstairs as well, because you have all those years of census that are down there. So
You have to
eventually,
keep those forever?
you have to keep it at least 7 years, so 7 years of census for the entire town. Keeps.
Is there an opportunity to create electronic records of those, or do you have to
So,
keep the paper?
so there are some things you can electronically keep, but births, deaths, and marriages you can't. So think about the fact that you, births, deaths, and marriages, if you have 100 births a year, it's typically 4 pages. And your books are probably 2 inches thick each year. And so, so that's just births. And then typically you have about the same amount for deaths. And then your marriages are about anywhere from 6 to 10 pages long. So, and those are bigger pages, so they're not the same sizes. So it's not something that you can figure your vault for typical books. So it's difficult trying to figure it out. So we've gone with larger books for our birth certificates, so that they're all the same right now. Before they used to be smaller books. Now we've made them 8.5 by 11 books, so they take up more space.
I'm gonna jump in real quick again. Is there an opportunity to do some sort of, not even a retrofit, something, an interim solution where there's some sort of rollaway cart that can, some of these boxes can be stacked and they can be rolled out when the vault is open, just to try to
Yeah, so we actually
alleviate
looked
climate on
at,
the boxes?
so Michelle has one of those carts that you can crank, that you're, that rotate and things like that. We did look into one of those systems for downstairs, and the starting price was $250,000 to start with 2 small sections.
I'm just talking like a Rubbermaid cart.
So.
Different budget.
Yeah. So we were, we've looked at a couple of grants, and they don't cover certain things, like what we were looking to do, so. Maybe in the future. Maybe in Andrew's.
Anything else for Diane? Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
Human resources, Michelle. Page 99.
Good evening, Michelle Vibert, Human Resources Director. So I'm going to start off with major accomplishments over the last year. You'll see a couple categories in front of you, but we'll start with professional development and training. We've been able to expand town-wide professional development. We've basically done a lot of leadership training, a lot of technical training, and a lot of compliance training for a various number of departments. We've also established an internal training team. Right now it consists of HR, IT, accounting, and finance, and what we're working on is basically, there's a lot of how-to documents for different departments. So if you have how to enter an invoice into our payroll system, how to submit a purchase order, how to submit a requisition, there's all these different how-to documents we've placed on the public drive available to our employees. But there's also documents that we just have that are generally out there to allow folks to get training for any process that we've come up with that are standard processes across departments. In the team, we've developed a method for noticing if any department needs additional assistance, and we will work one-on-one either with that employee or the department if the entire department needs training. Employee engagement and recognition, we have continued to strengthen employee engagement and recognition through a lot of town-wide events that have been very successful. They have included a summer appreciation barbecue. It is a nice event we've held in July outside, under a tent for our employees. We've had our holiday luncheon, which is probably our most well-attended event, which was wonderful. And we have general seasonal gatherings throughout the year that are really small, quick. We just had, you know, on Friday, a Patriots, wear your Patriots attire, we'll say, whether it be a hat or a shirt or any color of the Patriots uniform on Friday because they were playing on Sunday. Classification and compensation study. We have completed the classification and compensation study for our non-union positions. We used the Collins Center for this. We are working on implementation, which is a lot of work the Treasurer's Office is undertaking, putting together a spreadsheet, and we're coming up with proposals and working together to put proposals together to how we can implement that going forward. Organizational structure and enhancement. I'm just going to flat out say I cannot thank the Finance Committee and the Select Board enough of their support in accepting that the role for the Assistant Human Resources Director was much needed in the town. It was a mid-level management position that allowed us to focus on bigger projects. For example, looking at our health insurance was a huge undertaking this year, but we were able to do that with the Assistant Human Resources Director position and then keeping the HR Generalist position. Policy and process improvements. We still have a lot to do, but what we accomplished was revising our personnel bylaw for our non-union employees. We modernized language, increased flexibility in the language to allow us for recruitment and retention of our employees. Goals for next year, really we've done, as I mentioned prior, the classification and compensation study. Now we're looking at implementation of that study and how we move forward and keep up with the market, the external market, but keep maintaining that internal equity for our non-union positions. Reviewing our health insurance plan designs. I know I just mentioned this. It's been a very in-depth process. We've been working with our Public Employee Committee to review our current health insurance plan. There's been a lot of rising costs and a lot of high utilization, especially with the GLP-1 drugs. It causes your claims to go extremely high. And so we were looking for ways to bring those costs down. One of those ways is to review your plan and actually start looking at your deductibles and co-pays and seeing what we can do to keep those costs at a minimum. Employee training, again, we developed that internal training team. We want to continue using that internal training team, expand it. We also want to expand training to possibly have maybe a calendar that we can have for the year for employees so they know what's upcoming for the year. Maybe 1 month we do sexual harassment training, maybe 1 month we do training from accounting. But there's still a lot of opportunities we can take to continue on with training for employees, which is much needed.
Quick question before you move on.
Sure.
Goal number 1 says implement the class and comm study. Does that mean you're implementing it for FY28?
I do not have that answer yet.
But it's not for FY27?
I do not have that answer yet.
Because it can't be an FY27 goal if you're implementing it this year, right? It would be a...
Well, it would be July 1st.
But that would have meant that you would have implemented it in before. It's not a goal for next year if you're implementing it starting in this fiscal year. That's my point, so.
I don't think we really hashed that out yet, how it's gonna be, we're gonna figure it out. I think that requires a meeting with Gary and others.
Okay. So it's questionable whether that one's a goal.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I wanted to put it on there because we haven't accomplished it yet, and it's a huge project that's out there right now. Policy review and revision. Again, we have a lot of work to do. There's always laws changing and policies that need revamping. A portion of this, a major portion of this is our employee handbook for our non-union employees. One of the projects is to, now that we updated our personnel bylaw for our non-union employees, we now need to make that, there's overlapping policies in our handbook that we need to mimic. And then further than that, the second part of the project is to take policies that are existing in our handbook and look at revamping those or coming up to compliance if we need to, if laws have changed, and just looking at that again. A lot of this helps with, again, recruitment and retention and just staying in compliance with Mass General Law. And benefit programs, this is always on here. Thankfully, with extra staffing at this point, this is one of those things that a lot of HR departments around the state don't get to do because they don't have the staffing to review of these benefit programs. Working for our employees looking for different options, what are we doing here? So this is a goal that, you know, every year I'd like to take a few of our benefits and what have we been hearing out there? What's the feedback we've been receiving? Can we do more? Do we change this benefit? You know, what's happening out in the world that we can keep up with what people are looking for. All right, into operating budget and what was requested. As you can see at the top chart, our wages amount to $333,757. With the wages, there was a personnel reserve fund which was moved from expenses to wages. The original creation of this fund was to set up a fund that could account for wages if an employee had a lot of vacation to books and they retired, for example, and the department hasn't budgeted for HR would assist with their personnel reserve fund to cover those. So we moved it to account for wages where it should be. Expenses is $110,600. That was the request. The only changes we really made there from last year is just for tracking purposes. We were spending more in travel to attend conferences, seminars, versus our postage. So I just switched the expense by 100 in each of those line items. Operating budget revised after sharpening our pencils, going back to the drawing board, everything to see what we could cut additionally to have a balanced budget. On screen, you'll see that we are decreasing the budget by $1,500. That is going to come out of two different line items, which will be pre-employment costs, about $750, and advertising for about $750. Just looking at the line items again, so that is a change from what you see on your screen. And the wages remain the same from the prior slide, what was originally requested, and the only difference is that $1,500, the expenses is decreased by that $1,500 I just stated, which is the $109,100. So projected 5-year operating needs, normally I want to throw out general expense increases. We obviously have advertising, pre-employment, medical, and professional services that we continue to look at to see how we can keep costs down. I'm comfortable with cutting each of those line items I just mentioned by $750, even though costs could increase. There is enough room to decrease those line items by $750 each. The Lytics software. So this is a software we recently purchased that can help the town during negotiations. It allows you to quickly pull up any comparable towns which you've set up your dashboard for, which in negotiations you can have up to 10 towns on that screen that you can pull up comparable data for base salaries, vacation time, different things you can compare when you're in negotiations during that time to make things easily accessible. So this contract right now, we have a 3-year contract. For the next 2 years, it will be under $10,000, but we anticipate costs could go higher. There's different components that the Lytics company has, they're looking into offering. So for example, they may have an AI component that we could utilize. I don't have any more information on that now and what that could do, but there are different components that we could look at in the future. Personnel and other budgets, they're pretty standard, but I wanted to put this on there. We'll be having longevity, which will be a small increase to the budget next year. general step increases, and then general cost of living increases if those are put forth going forward. And then we continue to review with the treasurer's office how we can evaluate our OPEB valuation and keep costs down, because that's a huge budget line item for the town. And then last but not least, capital, the exciting one, I have none. So we don't need to talk about anything there. And that's it.
Thank you, Michelle. You mentioned the software, you purchased that already?
Yes,
Is that $10,000 maintenance in your budget for 27?
yes.
Where is it?
So that would be coming out of professional services.
Professional services?
Yes.
So if you're expending an extra 10 and you level budgeted from last year, what's going away to pay for that?
So I don't anticipate any, I mean, you never know what can come up for if it's a legal matter. But we do have a legal budget elsewhere if we need to pull from that. But I have not determined anything to actually go away in place of that.
So that's what it was basically for legal stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything, sometimes we would use it if we had on the rare occasion a need for assessment center. If we had a hiring, for example, like a town administrator hiring.
What?
In the past.
So you-
Say that loudly.
You mentioned that the staffing changes and you're all set with staffing. Is 3 of you up in the office now?
Yes, there's 3 of us in the office, an HR generalist, an assistant HR director, and then the director. It is working wonderfully, and I don't foresee any changes needed over the next few years.
Okay, and you've moved into a new office?
Yes.
More space?
Yes, thank you to accounting, who has been more than willing to vacate their prior office. HR has a confidential office. We have space for all of our files. We are still moving some things, but we have moved the office to across the hall.
Those big, I haven't been in there yet.
Mhm.
Those big file cabinets have moved over also?
Yes, so that rolling file cabinet that Diane was mentioning prior, that has moved into a separate room, and also we had 2 large inactive filing cabinets that are moved over. We have a big table, not big table, but a table big enough for the senior tax worker that comes in to assist, help us filing and spread everything out, and there's enough space to work.
Okay.
Do you have enough space for a safe?
For what?
A safe?
No. No.
I tried, Diane.
There's 2 doors, unless you wanna put it on the back of my door.
So just for everybody's, so everybody's on the same page here, a couple of things that Michelle mentioned. Number one, the salaries. So if they're implemented for July 1st, it could affect some of the salary numbers that we're currently seeing. So there's a little budget impact that may be plus or minus, depending on how it comes out. And the second thing is the health insurance. Maya doesn't set their rates until, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, the end of January.
February.
The end of
Well,
January.
they'll announce
The end of January,
system-wide
they
in
give an
January.
average.
For us, it will be
Range.
sometime in February.
February, yes.
Okay, so that's another budget thing that's in flux. And Michelle and Jim certainly went through a lot to discussing health insurance changes with the employees and the unions. And it's something that, as you mentioned, we need to keep up with and look at changing plans a little bit more frequently than, but 9 or 10 years it's been since the last one, so. We'll catch up. Good job, thank you, by the way, thank you. Any other questions for Michelle?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Mr. Corey.
Good evening. So just to be a little different, excuse me, I wrote a rap. Mark, give me a beat.
Or you don't want me to do that?
Oh, I was gonna say Matthew give me a beat, but I know that he would. So I went with Mark.
I would have too.
Yeah, I know, but I would have been in trouble.
Thank you for not letting me do it.
Okay.
These are recorded, keep in
I
mind.
don't want to hear it.
Good evening, everybody. So, LCTV, some of our major accomplishments last year. Covered over 350 meetings that air live on or on delay. Responsible for audio and video needs for the annual town meeting and special town meeting. Reorganized the department after the retirement of the access supervisor. We built a new podcast set and started recording podcasts. And we established Friends of LCTV, which is a nonprofit organization to support LCTV efforts. Our department goals for FY27 is to execute fundraising events for the Friends of the LCTV, to negotiate a new IMA with the town of Boxborough. We're trying again for another 3-year agreement. And also to sell off some surplus equipment we have. When the dumpsters were at Town Hall, we kind of threw away a lot of junk, but kept a lot of the stuff that was good. We didn't throw away equipment, but I mean junk as far as furniture and old broken things. But anyway, we have a whole kind of closet full of old switchers and things that could be sold. So it's just a way to make some money off that. Our operating budget, as requested, the wages $236,728, the expenses $136,415 for a total of $373,143. That's for 3 full-timers. There's also $48,000 of an expense line that are not added to this total, but we keep it in the expense line. It comes from Comcast and Verizon. They each give us money every year for capital, $48,000 between the two of them. And so we keep that in there as a reserve for emergencies. I don't have any plans at present for spending that money. There was no revision to the budget. It was as is. 5-year FY27 will be the year that we are a self-funded department. We've been in town for 30 years without costing the town anything. So, and those were the good lean years of cable TV. And unfortunately, people are dumping the cable and going to streaming and other things. So, you know, our source of revenue has significantly decreased. In the meantime, in the last 30 years, we've built up a station that I think we're pretty proud of. I think we're a very needed department in town. One that, without lack of a newspaper or a lot of other ways to communicate, it's a good way for people to be filled in what's going on, especially the fact that we cover 14 different meetings live every month, as well as air another additional 12 meetings that we process and clean up and put on demand. In addition to the meeting coverage, you know, we do school plays, graduations, town meetings, concerts, sporting events, thank you. Veterans Day, Memorial Day, we do sound and video for those. We're at a lot of events. We're around town. We like to be the station that you know, people are proud of. You can see your friends and neighbors. We're also a good archiving source for a record of things that went on throughout the years. You can go back on YouTube and on demand, and you can watch meetings and things from many years back. So we'll have to make some decisions after FY '27 as to how we're going to be funded, because we don't think that we'll be able to be self-funded anymore. The other thing about the 5-year needs, our Castis playback server, which is what we use to, it's kind of the brains behind the scenes of our channels. It's 7 years old, and as I put, that's 49 in dog years, 100 years old in computer years. It was told to me by their sales rep, so you know, to take that for what it's worth. But he, you know, he said, "Oh, 7 years old. Oh, it's getting close to the end of its life. It's serving us well. We haven't had a lot of issues with it, or any issues really. So I don't anticipate having to replace it yet, but within the next 5 years, probably. So that's about the biggest expense that we have on our docket. The next slide is none. And the one after that, the 5-year capital plan, again, like I said, replace the Castis playback server. Replace a couple of portable cameras that we have. When we go out in the field, we don't take these things down. We have portable gear for that. We would probably be replacing a couple within the next 5 years. And also the LCTV van, I assume. It's, I did talk to the Chief Bernard, and he said that he'd be willing to, you know, donate one of his old vehicles, one of his bigger, you know, SUV type. I don't know what they call it, but we don't need a big van. We just need something that will transport equipment from point A to B. Initially, when we got our big Marshmallow, that's what we call it, we had plans of putting equipment in it and making it a mobile studio and things like that, but there really wasn't a secure place to keep it. And also with the winter weathers, you know, if we had to park it outside at the highway department or something, it wouldn't be good for the equipment. So it's basically been a glorified cargo van just to move things back and forth. Anybody have any questions for me?
So you mentioned the fees from the cable companies going down. How much do you usually take in during the year?
Generally, we take in about, all totaled in revenue. I have.
In 25, if you include Foxborough, it's 304,000, just over.
And Foxborough is about a third of that.
122 until that year. Yep. Cool.
Is there a significant expense, like if you decided, okay, it's not worth it anymore to deal with the cable companies, we're just gonna go to YouTube digital, all, get rid of the Castis, get rid of any interaction with the cable companies, would that save you any money? Like obviously at this point, it's still worth it if you're getting 300 grand. But if you were getting like 20 grand from the cable companies, would it be worth it to still put that content out? Are you incurring expenses to like interface with them?
There is an expense with Castis. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. It's about all totaled with we also pay for a service packaged maintenance if things go wrong. You know, it's about $6 grand, $7 grand for the year. That's with all the, you know, storage space and things like that.
So
But
pretty
you're right,
small money for 300 grand return.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And also, we can only stream one channel at a time, I mean, logistically, on YouTube, but with the Castis, we do all three, so people can tune in. That's the big rub, I guess you can say too, is that I asked the town clerk for the number of households in town. I think the number was 4,300 or something, yeah, somewhere in there. And then figured out how many cable subscribers we have in town, because I can figure that out from, we get 50 cents per subscriber from each company. So you just multiply that by 2 and you get your number. About 53% of the town does not get cable, or households don't get cable, and 47% do. So 47% pay for LCTV, because that's how we get funded.
Got it.
And 53% don't. But they can still watch our stuff because we stream. So anybody can watch our stuff anywhere in the world, but only the cable customers in town are the ones paying.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you were to project what you would want in FY '28, you think you would need the town to pick up one salary of the three?
Well, if that's one way to do it. You know, it's tough to tell because our budget has been different throughout the last 5 years. But it averages about 47,000 that we're short over the last 5 years. So some years were more, some years, the last 1 year, we actually made money. So, or we didn't, we took in more than we spent. I won't say we made money, because it goes back into our piggy bank. So it's really tough to predict, and it's tough to predict when the cable companies raise their rates. Sometimes we don't go down as much as we thought we were. It's really hard to project what your revenue is gonna be. So if I had to if we wanted to go with an easy route, which, because we know what a salary is, yeah, that would be a simple solution.
Okay. And my other question is, in the capital that actually shows that you're buying the cast assistant, so that's just a placeholder you might?
Correct.
I mean, are you willing to hold on to that until it breaks, or do you want to replace it before it goes down?
No, I'm willing to hold on to it. It's kind of what we do. We hold on to things till they break. And that's, you know, unfortunately, we don't have, as you can see, a huge pool of money to go out and just spend new stuff just because it's the latest and greatest. We work with what we can and what we have.
I didn't see the portable cameras in the capital, the 10-year capital plan.
Is that the Excel sheet with the little pictures and everything?
No, this is a separate document that was posted.
Yeah, so that's a master document from what, if you had submitted
Okay.
a capital plan.
Some things have changed since I last did that, so I'll need to update that for you.
Sure. Are you just thinking FY '28 or further, like?
For cameras?
Yeah. Is that like a
Again,
closer in or further away? Further away?
I think rather than put none, because we don't really replace things until they break. But if we were looking at anything that needed to be replaced, most likely cameras are the things that get the most use and probably abuse,
Makes sense.
because they're also used by volunteers. So,
I saw the number of recorded hours or broadcast hours has increased significantly.
well, there was an initial mistake, and I don't know which form you're looking at, but the number of hours is about 7,400 or something like that.
Okay.
I anticipate it's gonna be about the same.
Okay.
Somehow, I don't know what I was thinking that day, but I put 10,000 plus, but I don't know. I think medications were kicking in that day or something. Can't really explain.
So we don't need to worry about storage
No,
issues or anything?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Nick is dedicated to Boxborough?
Well, he also has Littleton duties. Yeah. He spends about 10 hours in Boxborough, 10 hours on Boxborough, not specifically in Boxborough, but
A week,
a week.
bi-weekly?
Are they,
They have a lot of meetings to process, so he pulls them down, he edits them, you know.
he doesn't have to be at their meetings, are they using?
He does have to be
He does.
at a meeting as well, a meeting or two, but we also use vendors over there as well for nights when there's 2 meetings.
Okay. It would be good, when we start thinking about how much to pull into the town, how much is actually dedicated to Boxborough, so that should stay in the revolving fund where the revenue stream is coming from, because you're covering that.
Right.
Basically, so.
Right.
It's the Littleton piece that we need to kind of isolate. So
Mhm.
start thinking of that maybe.
Okay.
Maybe get something to Jim and Robin.
Mhm.
We can see, 'cause things are tight.
Okay.
Anything else from Mark? No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Mark, can you pass me that clicker?
You should have to just go to there.
You don't want to be up on the hot seat?
No. So Kathy is not here, she's sick, so I will read her presentation. So she successfully finished a 10-year cycle of cyclical inspection requirements. She completed an FY26 DOR directives. That was a pretty long list she had for directives this year, and they worked pretty hard on that. Achieved state approval on a 5-year certification of residential and CIP values, and completed documentation of building factors, and continued training and education of staff. Did you skip? That's fine. No.
It was faster than you skipped.
I know, right? We're on time, though. We're doing good. Okay, so her goals for FY27 is to coordinate timeframe and resources for upgrading her CAMA system, which she's already talked to us and also to FINCOM about upgrading the CAMA. Implemented bridge for building permits to automatically populate CAMA systems. Finish merging town-owned parcels. Complete data collection and process manuals, and continue to educate for assistant assessor and field lister positions. So this is the budget she requested, $264,190.
That's accounting.
Oh, my God.
Oh, she's in the wrong one. Good?
I don't know.
Go back
I
one.
didn't touch it.
Go back one.
Let's try this.
You good?
No, I can't do anything.
Okay, so she requested $281,449, you keep trying to find it, for salaries, and her expenses were $87,830, for a total of $369,279. Her expenses increased due to postage, the CAM system, and software maintenance. After budget cuts, we had a discussion with Steve for FinCom, and we decreased her expenses by $15,425, which she's going to bring forth to FinCom. We just want to make sure that it's the correct number that's going to be decreasing, so we're going to run the numbers with Kathy again just to be sure the expense piece is right. But her expenses went down to $72,405, and the total $353,854.
So you just stop right there, the second, Robin, just
Yep.
everybody knows. The Patriot system that we're using today is an old software system that hasn't been touched, I don't know, 20, 25 years. I mean, it's old software. They're finally gonna be doing an upgrade to the cloud, and it's total rewrite of the system, so it's 20th century, at least.
Some other towns have already merged too. They've been asking her for a couple of years, so.
So Kathy had the entire cost in her budget, and we needed to take money out of the budget to get it balanced. So Fred and I met with Jim and Kathy and Robin, and said that the finance committee would take it out of our reserve fund for 26, 25. If she had the expense, 26, I'm sorry, 26. If she had the expense there, because we're gonna start the process the end of the fiscal year, June into July. and then it wouldn't be implemented until after the tax rate is set out in November. So that's when she would actually do the transition to the new software. So she can operate for this first half of the year on the old system. So there's some overlap. They're gonna be doing work behind the scenes. So whether she can start the process in June, where we can pay the money up front, or we have to wait until next year's reserve fund, because we pulled it out, I told her we would cover it, so I hope that's okay with the rest of the finance committee. They'll come, once they get a firm number of what it's gonna cost, they'll come back to us with a reserve fund transfer.
Is that part of the budget?
No, we took it out of the budget. There's still a cost for old Patriot maintenance in there, and there could be a number in there for new Patriot maintenance, but she needs to firm up those numbers still. But it's not gonna vary that much from what's in the book right now.
I'm done, unless anybody has questions.
That's it.
Thanks, Kathy.
Michelle?
Just bring the microphone over to you. It's close enough. Thank you.
I did just click, if you click on it, oh, that didn't work.
Tony,
Backwards.
Tony will click it.
Okay, but for those who don't know me, Michelle Reynolds, town accountant. Some of the accomplishments over the last year, we did have a financial analyst that left in May of '25. So we had to kind of pivot. She had only been there less than a year, so we had to kind of pivot and hire pretty quickly. Unfortunately, we had an internal candidate that's been working out great, but we did have to go through the whole training process again. And one specific item that we're working together, the financial analyst and I, are specific grant reconciliation and tracking, because it was somewhat lacking in the past. So we're making sure that people are spending properly out of a grant and getting those reimbursements in a timely manner, making sure it all aligns on our books. Some of the major projects, which was a major component for this past year, is project tracking for the senior center, 36 King Street, and the Shaker Lane feasibility and design. And continued professional development training for staff, especially where we have a relatively newer assistant town accountant and now the financial analyst. We're bringing them, kind of training them up in all aspects of the accounting and finance world. Goals: continue to expand fund reconciliation and tracking for the accounting side, but also for the departments. We help them make sure they're doing it correctly and in a timely manner. Continue training professional development for the staff. We want to feel comfortable knowing the assistant can easily answer many of the questions that people come to the town accountant for. And along with that, continue to explore our software enhancements and upgrades for increased workplace efficiency. So some of it is required updates to our software annually that we're seeing. We didn't used to have that in the past. It would only be minimal updates and enhancements, and now it's becoming a regular, at least once a year, we go look at what the changes are to upgrades so we can issue tax forms for both payroll and on the accounts payable side. They're retiring versions basically every year now, as well as looking at modules and enhancements for increased productivity our software is supposed to be coming out with some kind of automation for processing of invoices. It would be for large volume departments, but that's something that could be really exciting, you know, optical recognition or something like that. As well as our rest of our finance team looks at enhancing the payroll side, which only helps everybody do their job quicker, better, more accurately. Let's see, operating budget, wages 264,190. That's for 3 full-time staff. Expenses 102,651. The primary major expenses are the annual audit, which we have pegged at 60,000, and accounting services. This includes the budgeting software, which produced your fabulous budget books. Software, it's called PACE Education. So this allows us to deploy both training and new education for implementation of new modules in the software. And consulting services as needed. This is direct accounting services, consulting services. So when we have the really tough questions, in the past they've done things like assist with a chart of accounts change, and a lot of year-end type questions that, you know, are very complex. And the revised budget, as I've been in this position for about 2.5 years, the accounting services, basically on the consulting side, I was able to reduce, just from having more knowledge, being in the position longer, and getting some education. The Mass Municipal Accounting Association has annual education in March, and that's been really helpful. I've been attending that. The assistant has gone to that this past year. So the more we know, the less we have to pay a consultant to help us with. So we're able to reduce that budget. 5-year needs we can't predict, but I'm not expecting an increase in need for personnel. We'll see how the Shaker Lane project goes. That will be a major project for both accounting and treasurer's office. Increases 4 to 5% per year for the budgeting software, annual software education, and accounting consulting. The rates go up every year, but no major increases.
You got my slides, Tony?
So 3 people in the department? You're
Yes.
good with staffing?
It's
Training them up?
It's wonderful to have 3 people, and pretty much at one point I was one person. So it's great. We can kind of break out by project. We can have financial analyst sort of recording the projects, me working on, you know, articles from town meeting, keeping the AP flowing with departments, and also as part of the training team that Michelle had mentioned, meeting with people as needed for, you know, especially when departments have new employees, breaking out to go to them and assist them getting ramped up on the software, providing access, and just meeting their needs with questions. So, you know, the 3 of us, we don't feel like we're just running around the building like a chicken.
And speaking of running around the building, you're over in the library
You can't
right
find
now?
me.
I went looking for you one day, I couldn't find you. So you're over there, things are okay? You're all
okay.
alone on that floor?
Yep, it's
Not
okay.
scary?
No, it's not scary. It's a little dusty, but, you know, we're kind of in there temporarily till we figure out the grand scheme, and we're fine. We don't have people generally from the outside, the public coming to find us. All the departments know where to find us. That works just fine.
Okay. And you mentioned on your professional services, you're starting to wind down using outside help as much as we used to in the old days.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first year I was in as town
Yeah.
accountant, I mean, we had an interim finance director at the time as well, and CLA came in and majorly helped me out. When you start a position and it's end of year, you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, I've been able to leverage the knowledge that they've given me, templates, information, and also, becoming part of an accountant's group and kind of networking and bouncing questions off people that have, that's, you share what you've learned over the years, and they've been great help.
In your hourly wages, we don't need that position anymore.
We'd love to hold on to it, but I guess not.
Thank you for cutting. I don't have anything else for Michelle. Is anybody else? Questions?
When you mentioned expanding fund reconciliation training for the departments, like what kind of stuff are you teaching them to do or helping them to do?
So when they get a grant, understanding the timing of the grant, when they need to submit requests for reimbursement, how soon they might need to follow up, and also looking at the accounts and making sure their expenses are in the grant, not somewhere else.
Got it.
So it all aligns, the reimbursements match up with the expense in the grant, so we can close it out.
Because that wasn't really being tracked at all.
Some departments are good at it, others are not so good at it. We've had turnover in departments, and, there was not a lot of information maybe given to those people. So we're sitting down, and another piece to that is, with departmental training is, just kicked off kind of accounting. We'll go and meet with a department. We started with the fire department, like, what are your questions, where are your pain points, kind of thing. So we looked at a bunch of accounts. There's some things we can set up, and we call their software dashboard to look at their budget. And they're excited about that.
Cool.
So it all helps them do better.
Great, thanks.
Anything else for Michelle?
So Michelle, just heard something in there about Shaker Lane, so level staffing right now. Do you anticipate that with the Shaker Lane project that there's gonna be a need for additional staff?
No,
Okay,
I
good.
don't believe so. When we're doing senior center
Right.
and 36 King Street and the Shaker Lane feasibility, it was a lot, and they had a brand new person.
Tennis
It was a
courts,
lot.
ball fields, yeah, okay. I was just
So I
trying to
think
wrap my brain
just
around
one big
how it's
project.
different.
If we could just have one project at a time, that would be great.
I think the residents feel the same way.
I think they prefer zero.
Maybe take a break, yeah.
Someday, Matthew, someday.
Someday we'll have zero. No, it'll never happen.
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Since we didn't get a chance to talk to Kathy, I was trying to remember from our liaison meeting with her about abatements. Abatements are up because there was a reval year, so she's seeing a lot more applications coming in. The deadline is February 1st, or whenever that is, coming up. But her ATV cases, I think she mentioned they're down to one at the ATV right now. The attorney that she used to manage the ATV cases no longer goes to court. He's just a consultant now, so she has to find some other resource or another attorney to, if she does go to ATV, to represent us. So that could be an increased cost. She has some budget for it now, as well as for appraisals that she may have. She mentioned that the appraisals have worked out well. She's gotten appraisals on different commercial things like warehouses and storage facilities, stuff like that. So she's able to get the appraisal and look at what she's assessing the properties at and adjust accordingly. And so she has some ammunition if they do come in for a abatement. So I think that's all I can remember from her meeting with us.
On the commercial side, her office sends out a questionnaire to the commercial property to help her kind of wrap her brain around what they have going on essentially as well.
She does. And Patriot has been doing the C&I valuations for her the past several years. And she keeps up with it, but she does the residential piece herself. This reval year, she did let Patriot do the residential piece, just so they can look at the software and make sure that everything she's done to change, there's a lot of factors in that software, that everything was still good the way it was, and they didn't come back and say that there was anything broken in the Patriot system, which is great news. But she's not gonna use Patriot for the residentials until probably the next reval year. So that hadn't been done. It's just been her doing it, and before her, Ken doing the residential piece. So it was a good check and balance for that. So I guess we'll be able to tell it was really good by the level of abatements that are accepted, I guess. So that's all I can remember. Does you guys have any other?
No, I don't, I think that sums it up pretty good.
Okay. Hey, treasurer, collector.
Okay, so our accomplishments are we maintained our AAA bond rating. Both Kim, Jim, and I sit in those reviews with S&P, and the preparation is long, and the meetings are about half an hour to 1 hour. So they ask lots of questions, but good results. Work with the finance team to set the tax rate. We implemented Tyler cashiering in Munis, which is just another piece of the software to record deposits and generate receipts for people. It's got a cashier, it's a whole system within Munis. Removed 11 properties from tax title in FY25, which was great. We still have 13 remaining in tax title, and 2 of those 13 are on payment plans with us right now. So, for goals, we'll continue to educate and cross-train all staff, me included. Continue process improvement to maximize accuracy and efficiency, and continue to improve budget reporting through ClearGov. ClearGov has been, so him and I built the first PDF budget book through it last year, and then they changed the whole format, so we had to start from scratch and rebuild it again this year. So we continue to make improvements to it. The operating budget as requested, my wages of $410,949, that's 5 full-time staff. Our expenses were $19,900, for a total of $430,849. We revised the budget and did cuts to professional services for $500 and a decrease of $1,000 for postage. I think we can live within that. So our expenses went down to $18,400 for a total of $429,349. Tax title, $16,000 every year. That's what budget. We don't always use it, but you don't know what we're going to use for attorneys, and it pays for attorneys' fees. It pays for registration fees to file for releases or to whatever we need to do to file with the registry. So that covers that. Debt service. The total debt service is $4,467,309. If you go into the budget book, you'll see for the long term, the total for the principal and the interest is in that long term section. So if you're looking at it, it's those 2 numbers total. The short term interest is $350,000. That's for us to budget to borrow a van for Shaker Lane to temporarily borrow. That's the interest piece of it. And then just other debt service for what we might need for closing costs or anything that we need there. The interest is a little bit higher for long-term this year because, I don't know if you guys remember last year we pushed out the senior center debt. So we're paying a bigger interest payment this year because we pushed it out a full year. So it's a little higher than it normally is. Tax collector. Her accomplishments were she continued 4 mailings. She continues to do 4 mailings a year for real estate and personal property to maximize collection rates. It has resulted in a 6% increase in the first 5 months of the fiscal year. Her goals are to provide at least 1 mail insert in real estate bills to educate the public on how Littleton bills, and then and to continue to drive online payments to maximize the availability of funds, excuse me. Her budget, the wages is $103,359. Okay, so I lied. And the other one is only 4 because she's in this. The expenses is $36,000. The primary expense of her expenses is for Kelly and Ryan with the tax payments and the event fees. The revised budget for her, she decreased other services for $1,000, $300 to conferences she decreased, and she decreased office supplies for $400, adjusting her expenses down to $34,300, and a total of $1,700 she decreased her budget by. Do you want me to just keep going and ask questions at the end, or you tell me?
Let's stick with these two budgets
Okay.
for now. Any questions of Robin and treasurer collector budgets? No? We're happy with Kelly and Ryan, they're still doing a good job.
Yep.
Kelly and Ryan are the,
That's who mail out real estate legals.
Yes.
they do the mailings for tax bills for us, but they're also the
Deputy collector.
deputy collectors for our excise tax bills.
The Unibank charges, aren't those passed along?
So we cover the cost of that. If someone does an ACH payment, we cover the cost of that. We don't pass that along. We only pass along a credit card payment, and that's a fee that's set by Unibank, but that's a bit higher, so we don't cover that cost, but we do cover the ACHs.
It's what,
It's like $1.
No, it's more.
25 cents per still, or?
For ACHs, yeah.
Yeah. We implemented that just to encourage people to pay by online. It's less staff involved in moving money. Anything else?
Scott.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Huh?
Got it?
Okay, so I just did one slide for the, these are all the commissions that we have in town that are in our budget. None of those were decreased, they're all level funded, and that's the whole list, the Disability, Memorial Day, Historical, Cultural Council, Shade Tree, PMBC, and Sustainability. We reached out to each and every one of them to make sure those budgets were sufficient, and all responded yes.
Okay. Any questions on those? I know some of those boards reach out to the select board members from time to time.
Did we, we put the Patriots Day separate for the historical commission, that was, last year they just asked for a lot, I remember, because of Patriots Day, but it's under a different line item than.
I'll look back, I'm not sure. I don't think we have it split out.
I think it's under historical commission.
I think so too, I think it's all part of that 44480. Yeah, that's,
Don't know what, yeah, I know Patriot Beverage paid for part of it, but I don't know what else.
yeah, I think it was.
I know they asked for, they were going to be doing big events last year, so I just didn't know if there was a huge increase in,
Where it was council.
Good. So, property and liability insurance, let me, we don't have numbers for these yet, I think we already mentioned that. We've budgeted $600,000 right now. We are meeting with Todd next week to discuss rates and review things. We're also gonna talk about, insurance for Shaker Lane. Because the question I raised, with Jim was, do we hold the policy as a village risk policy, or does the contractor hold the policy? So he's gonna review the pros and cons of that to see how we should move forward with that piece. Employee benefits is the $10,740,780. That includes our Medicare, workers' comp insurance, health insurance, life insurance, unemployment in Middlesex. We're still waiting for numbers, as you know, for health insurance, as well as workers' comp. For the OPEB piece, at Steve's suggestion, I reached out to KMS, who does our evaluation, and I asked them to relook at it, given the fact that we're gonna have a new plan design, and see if it affects our evaluation and it goes down a little bit and helps our budget. Because if I don't now, we won't get a new number till FY '29. So the numbers we got are for '27 and '28, and the '27 number doubled from 700,000 to 1.4, round numbers. So I think it's a good idea to have them relook at it once we have the new rates.
How does the 10.7 compare with what we budgeted for '26 for the same line? Do you know? Is that the 20%, 14.3% increase?
Say it again, ask the question again, sorry.
So like that 10.7 for employee
Mhm.
benefits, what was what did we budget in '26? I'm just curious how
Yeah,
much
it's
it
okay.
went up, yeah.
Did we use 20% as a number?
I thought it was like 14.3 was what we should. Maybe not.
It was-
10,908 last year.
10,908.
10,908. Yeah.
So the conversations we've had with, at the select board meetings about the cost of the health insurance going up so much, why hasn't that number increased this year?
We've adjusted it down with the estimated new plan already.
Oh, okay,
That's why.
okay.
So how they did that, Mark, Matthew, is they had a estimated increase on our current plan,
Mhm.
and then the plan that they were going to, we have what the costs are today for that plan.
Mhm.
They put an estimate in for that increase also, so that's what the comparison was between those two.
So the number we're going with is the estimated increase to the plan that we're going with,
Yes,
based on the numbers from this year, and plus a percentage.
plus a percentage,
Mhm.
which needs to be firmed up.
And we won't know that for another few weeks.
Correct.
Got it, thank you.
As far as the OPEB goes, the reason I asked Robin to check with the actuary is when they do the OPEB valuation, they take the current plan and they factor in the 8% increase in the next year and the year after, then it goes down to 5%. It's just the way actuaries do it. I don't know whether it's in their actuarial rule book or what. But we saw a 20% increase, and we were looking at a 20% increase next year, '27. So they did the valuation with an 8% bump, which could keep us artificially inflated in their projections. So if we know what the new plan is gonna be, we can get that adjusted and get a new OPEB number, which, not so much for '27, but for the future years, it'll have
It just
to
doesn't
hit.
compound as fast, yeah.
Right, and I'm not gonna have that for a while, so until we have the actual rates, then I'm gonna have to send that off to KMS, and they're gonna have to
Yeah.
reevaluate, so it's gonna take, it won't probably be before we publish the budget, but at
Like I
least.
said, it's more for '28, '29 to get the valuation number down, that non-valuation year, so we should see something good.
But if they overvalue it, how does it ever come back to us? Like, if they say, you know, OPEB's gonna increase 20%, and we only pay, and our expenses only go up 10, how does that benefit us? When does that benefit us? Never?
On the next value,
It
the money
does.
doesn't go away, it's still there.
Yeah,
Plus it's earning stuff in the stock
Mhm.
market.
I see,
now.
okay.
So that eats into what you.
What you would increase, it would increase less next time?
Right, an extra
So
contribution.
that's what we saw in the valuation report before this, stock market was up. Our insurance rates were kind of down, so we were looking 2 years ago at like
80%.
$700,000 number.
Mhm.
But fully, it's $1.8 million now.
Okay.
Actually, I lied on the numbers. It says the health insurance, the medical claims is going down by 123,000. The retirement contributions is going down by 87,000. Right.
That's Middlesex, is that what Middlesex?
It just says county retirement contributions.
Yeah, that's Middlesex.
So one thing that I wanna note is that the number that you're looking at for last year included the extra contribution that comes from free cash based on the fiscal policy.
Correct.
we haven't certified free cash yet, so we don't know what that extra contribution will be yet. So that line's still a little bit in flex, but it's not gonna affect the operating budget because the money coming in will be from free cash.
So you remember out of free cash, we do, to get to that second part of the equation, there's a contribution to OPEB or a pension. So there's an estimate right now of free cash, so we estimate an amount in there to go. Once we get the solid number, that number may change also, but it doesn't affect the budget because it just comes in from free cash, that's all.
But but the budgeted number for 26 shouldn't have had the free cash amount we transferred.
It would be transferred in.
No, what I'm saying is, what we budgeted in 26 shouldn't have been based on free cash either, right? The actual number in 25 could have been, but the budgeted number in 26, we didn't know what the 25 free cash number was.
We
So-
know it
No.
before we set the budget, before the
Yeah,
budget's
before it goes to
final,
town
we know
meeting,
it.
we have that number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it's voted at town meeting.
So you revise it
lose that.
after
Right,
this.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And any
This is
revisions we
still a
have,
draft.
we'll talk about on Saturday. We'll bring what we know revisions are.
Okay, I just wonder if we should put that in a separate, put it separately, the free cash contribution, because it's not as if we're planning for it in the normal operating process, right? We should put it in, it should be recorded, but it makes the lines confusing when, on the years that you have a lot of free cash and then you're contributing, it makes, if we don't have a lot of free cash, it looks like, the number could drop precipitously, and it's like, it's expected, it doesn't make a nice flow in the budget, right? You can't see how they actually progressing. So it might be just nice to
So
separate
it's
that out.
knock on wood or whatever.
No, it just might be nice to
That we
separate
don't have the
it might be nice to
fluctuations.
separate
Yes.
out as a separate line so that you can see what's coming from free cash versus the expected contribution.
Yeah, extra contribution in the budget.
In the final.
And-
Yeah.
One of the things on that Saturday that we should probably talk about, if we haven't gotten a certified free cash number yet, which we probably won't by that Saturday, is I hope that Rob and Kim have lowballed the free cash number that they're using here. I have a feeling that they have. Whether we just go with that number, do what we need to do with that, and just let any extra free cash that may come in just roll to free cash for the next year, or at town meeting, take that number and just specifically put it to a stabilization account, cap state or something. But just to get the framework of what we have done set, and just deal with that extra piece later. So just something to think about for that Saturday when we start talking about free cash and capital. Okay?
I think every resident would prefer we put it towards Shaker Lane.
And the numbers that we have looked at preliminarily, there's a nice chunk going to Shaker Lane, yes. Is that it?
That is it for me. We are done.
15 minutes early.
Woo! That's a record.
Any other general questions or anything anybody has, what they heard tonight? Discuss that, you want to hold off on things until Saturday is fine?
Any questions?
In that case, we need to stick around, but select board can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everyone.
See you next Wednesday.
Will they give us the page numbers?
Bless you.
Yep.
That was Kim and I.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You also, there's an updated capital that we put on your paper too.
Yes.
All right, Finance Committee. We have minutes, bunch of minutes, 7 sets of minutes here. 3:24, 5:27, 6:9, 7:14, 9:2, 9:22, and 10:28. we have a motion to accept it? Do I have a second? Any discussion on the minutes, any changes or anything anybody wants to make? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We'll get those in to the town clerk. Speaking of clerks, we need a clerk. Brian left us high and dry.
Well, I make a motion that Sanjay be appointed as clerk.
Oh. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's easy,
He
but-
says, hoping that it's not me. Sanjay, if you'd like to talk about what's involved, is fine. We can.
Yeah, if you could just maybe talk about
Sure.
this.
So, like these groups of minutes that we just approved, they're all joint meetings with the select board. What we normally would do is have Lisa up in Jim's office, send us the Word doc from the select board meeting, cut and paste just into our format, just the pieces of the meeting that affected the finance committee when we were there, or if it was a whole meeting like this one, we have that.
Is there somewhere that's all these meeting minutes are stored? Are they digitally stored somewhere?
I'm sorry, Chair, can
All
you-
these meeting minutes are stored somewhere digitally?
So the meeting minutes, once you do them, then you get them approved here. Once they're approved, they get sent to the town clerk, and she'll post them up onto the website.
Okay.
And then job is done.
So they're sent over the,
She takes them just electronically, puts them up, so converts the Word doc to a PDF and sends them. The only other thing would be is Fred and I aren't here for a meeting, then you would be looked at to run the meeting.
okay.
As
Ranking member?
As ranking member. The chances of that happened once to Brian, and he was clerk for 6-7 years, so it's not very often, if ever, so. Other than that, that's it. And if there was a meeting where we didn't meet with the select board, joint with them, we did it ourselves. In the past, we've had one of the senior workers come in and take the minutes for us, so we have that option to get that person back. Or you could jot down, it's whatever you're comfortable with, so
Okay.
we can arrange either way,
Okay.
okay? So we're not looking at a lot of work, it's just
Okay.
keeping up on the website, what hasn't been posted, and, because Diane can send out some nasty grams every once in a while. She didn't hear me say that. We're on TV still. So, are we good?
Okay.
Hey, we have a motion and a second, Sanjay to be named clerk of the finance committee. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, I like that. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned. Do I have a motion?
I move that we
Second.
adjourn. Second.
Second.
Third.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. See you next Wednesday.
Thank you.